The nursery is full of sound, caretakers chatting softly, bottles clinking, toys rattling on the floor. But in the far corner, there is silence. Curled against the wall, a baby gorilla named Kendi sits alone, his small arms wrapped tightly around his knees, his dark eyes staring down at the concrete as though the world no longer exists. The other infants in the room squeak and play, but he doesn't move, he doesn't respond, he doesn't look at anyone. One caretaker kneels nearby, holding out a bottle of milk. "Come on, little one," she coaxes, her voice gentle. But Kendi doesn't even glance up. He turns his head to the wall, refusing. Another staff member tries dangling a bright toy, something shiny, something that usually sparks curiosity. Nothing. The little gorilla's chest rises and falls, slow and heavy, as though each breath is an effort. The workers exchange worried glances. They've seen rescued infants shut down before, but this is different. It's as though he's not just sad, he's grieving, and grief, in one so young, can be deadly. Days now, one whispers, he hasn't bonded with anyone. Another sighs, shaking his head. If he doesn't connect, he won't make it. The truth is heavy in the room. These animals need touch, comfort, reassurance. Without it, despair eats away at them. And Kendi, he's slipping further every day. The head caretaker rubs her forehead, voice low. "We've tried everyone. He just doesn't want us." The staff fall silent. No one knows what else to do. And then the door creaks open. Stepping in, still shrugging off her raincoat from the morning downpour, is Amara Lewis, a young zookeeper with calm eyes and a steady presence. She's late for her shift. Traffic on the highway delayed her, but she barely has time to apologize before she notices the tension in the room. "What's wrong?" she asks. The head caretaker gestures to the corner, same as before. He won't respond to anyone. Amara follows the gesture. Her eyes soften when they land on the tiny, withdrawn figure pressed into the wall. She takes a slow breath. She doesn't call out to him. She doesn't reach for a toy. Instead, she quietly kneels, placing herself low on the ground, her palms flat against the cool floor. Kendi doesn't move. At first, it looks like just another failed attempt. One of the staff mutters, "It's no use. He won't even look at us anymore." But Amara doesn't give up. She tilts her head slightly, watching him with quiet patience. Her breathing is steady, her voice absent, only her presence fills the space between them. And then something shifts. Kendi's tiny head tilts, just a fraction. His dark eyes flicker sideways, settling on her. He stares. The caretakers freeze. For the first time in days, the baby gorilla acknowledges someone. The room falls silent. Amara doesn't move closer. She just stays there, crouched low, eyes gentle, waiting. And in that silence, something begins. For a long moment, the nursery is frozen. Caretakers stand still, bottles in hand, hardly daring to breathe. In the corner, baby Kendi doesn't curl tighter into himself like before. Instead, he looks, really looks. His wide eyes lock on Amara Lewis, crouched low across the room. No one speaks, no one moves. Amara feels the weight of it, the fragile attention of a baby who hasn't acknowledged anyone in days. Her heart beats faster, but her face stays calm. She lowers her gaze slightly, softening her body language, careful not to overwhelm him. Kendi blinks once, twice, then his tiny fingers flex against the concrete floor. A gasp slips from one of the staff. "Is he? He's moving." But Amara raises a hand gently without looking away. "Don't startle him," she whispers. Kendi shifts forward, first an inch, then another. His movements are halting, uncertain, as though he's testing the air between them. The bottle in the caretaker's hand might as well not exist. The toy dangling from a string might as well be invisible. He ignores them all. His gaze never leaves Amara. Every scrape of his small knuckles on the floor echoes in the silence. The distance between them shrinks slowly, painfully slowly, as though every inch costs him courage. But he keeps going. The other caretakers are wide-eyed. He's crawling to her, one breathes. Amara stays still, though her throat tightens with emotion. She had seen him on the day of his arrival, fragile, trembling, orphaned by poachers, but she hadn't expected him to remember, not after so many shifts, so many faces. And yet, something in his eyes tells her otherwise. Kendi pauses halfway across the floor. His little chest rises and falls in sharp breaths. The choice hangs in the air. Go back to the corner or move forward. His head tilts again, eyes narrowing with recognition. He lets out a soft, almost inaudible grunt. Then, with a sudden surge of will, he crawls the rest of the way. The sound of his hands against the floor grows faster, more certain. Within seconds, he's in front of Amara, staring up at her with a face both fearful and longing. His tiny fingers reach upward, tentative, trembling. The staff can't hold back their tears. One covers her mouth, whispering, "He chose her." Amara exhales slowly, her own eyes stinging. She doesn't rush. She doesn't scoop him up. She lets him decide, and Kendi does. With a sudden lurch, he climbs onto her knees, his small hands gripping her shirt with desperate strength. His body presses against her as though afraid she might disappear if he lets go. Amara finally allows herself to move, her arms wrapping gently around his trembling frame. His breathing slows against her chest, his face burrowing into the fabric. The entire nursery is silent. Every caretaker knows they are witnessing something extraordinary, something no amount of training or manuals could explain. The baby who ignored everyone else chose her, and for the first time since his rescue, Kendi feels safe. The room is silent except for the soft sound of tiny breaths. Baby Kendi presses his face into Amara Lewis's chest, his small hands gripping her shirt so tightly that his knuckles pale beneath the fur. The caretakers exchange stunned glances. Just minutes ago, this baby had ignored every hand, every voice, every attempt at comfort. Now he clings with a desperation so fierce it seems as though his very survival depends on it. Amara sits cross-legged on the floor, motionless. She doesn't dare shift too quickly, afraid of breaking the fragile trust Kendi has just offered her. Instead, she lowers her head and whispers softly, her voice steady and soothing. "It's all right, little one. I'm here. You're safe." The baby gorilla exhales against her, the sound trembling at first, then easing into something deeper, something that almost sounds like a sigh of relief. His whole body softens, melting into her arms. One caretaker raises a hand to her mouth, eyes shimmering with tears. I've never seen anything like this," she whispers. Another nods, voice breaking. "He won't even look at us. But her, he won't let go." Kendi shifts slightly, his small legs wrapping around Amara's waist, his fingers curling into her hair. His grip is insistent, determined, as though letting go would mean losing the one anchor he has in a frightening, unfamiliar world. Amara tightens her embrace, slow and careful. Her own throat aches as the weight of the moment sinks in. She remembers the first time she saw him, broken, terrified, cradled in a transport crate after poachers destroyed his troop. He had been nothing but skin, bone, and fear. She remembers staying late, sitting by his enclosure when no one else could calm him. She remembers humming softly until his frantic cries slowed, until sleep finally claimed him. And now, he remembers too. Kendi lets out a soft whimper when another caretaker steps forward with a camera. Amara hushes him instantly, rocking gently. The baby burrows deeper into her, clutching tighter. "Shh. I've got you," she murmurs, her chin resting lightly on his head. The staff step back, realizing this moment isn't for them. It's for him and her. Time stretches. Rain drums gently on the roof of the nursery. The storm outside now, just a backdrop to something infinitely more powerful. Kendi's breathing slows until it steadies, warm and rhythmic against Amara. His eyelids flutter. For the first time since his rescue, he surrenders to sleep in human arms, not because he's forced, but because he chooses. Amara lowers her cheek to his soft fur, her eyes glistening. She whispers, so only he can hear, "I'll stay as long as you need me." And he believes her. The caretakers watch with silent reverence. They know what this means. The baby who ignored every hand, every toy, every voice, has chosen his person, and he's not letting go. The nursery staff gather in a loose circle, whispering, their eyes locked on the sight before them. Baby Kendi asleep in Amara Lewis's arms, his small hand still gripping her shirt, as though he fears she might vanish if he loosens his hold. No one dares break the moment, but the questions swirl. Why her? Why now? Finally, the head caretaker, Dr. Samuel Grant, clears his throat. His voice is low, reverent. "Do you all remember the night he arrived? The transport van rolled in late. He was barely clinging to life." Several staff nod silently. They remember the crate. The tiny gorilla huddled in the corner, trembling, the bloodied bandage wrapped hastily around his leg after poachers had cut him free from a trap. The wild, desperate cries that echoed through the sanctuary halls. Dr. Grant turns to Amara. "You were here that night. Do you remember?" Amara nods slowly, her eyes still on Kendi. "Yes, I remember every second. He wouldn't stop crying. We tried formula, blankets, everything. Nothing worked." She pauses, her voice trembling. "So, I stayed. I sat by his cage for hours. I hummed. I spoke softly. I just tried to let him know he wasn't alone." The room stills. The memory sharpens in everyone's mind. While others had rotated out, clocking shifts, Amara hadn't moved from his side. They remember finding her there at dawn, her back against the bars of the enclosure, her voice hoarse from whispering lullabies, the baby gorilla finally asleep for the first time since his rescue. Dr. Grant's eyes soften. He never forgot. The weight of those words hangs heavy. Staff members glance at one another, realizing the truth. Kendi hadn't ignored everyone because he was incapable of connection. He ignored them because the only connection that mattered had already been made with Amara. One caretaker presses a hand to her chest, whispering, so all this time he was waiting for her. Amara looks down at the tiny body curled against her. His breathing is steady now, his face calm. She brushes a hand lightly over his back, her throat tightening. "He was terrified," she says softly. "He lost his family. He lost everything. That night he trusted me, just enough to fall asleep, and now, I think, he remembers what that felt like." Kendi stirs faintly at the sound of her voice, but instead of pulling away, his grip tightens. His small hand tugs at her shirt, ensuring she is still there. The revelation spreads through the room like electricity. Some staff wipe tears from their eyes. Others stand in silent awe. What they are witnessing isn't random, isn't instinct alone. It's memory. It's proof that kindness leaves an imprint even when words cannot. Dr. Grant shakes his head slowly, a smile breaking through his astonishment. "He chose you the night he arrived, Amara, and now he's reminding us all of it." Amara bows her head, tears mixing with a quiet smile. "Then I'll never let him down." And in that promise, unspoken yet unshakable, a new chapter of Kendi's life begins. The days that follow feel different in the nursery. Where there was once silence and worry, now there is life. Baby Kendi no longer hides in the corner. He plays, cautiously at first, batting at toys and exploring his surroundings. He eats with more eagerness, his small hands clumsy but determined as he grasps fruit pieces. And yet, no matter what he does, his eyes never stray far from Amara Lewis. If she leaves the room, he whimpers. If another caretaker tries to hold him, he squirms away. But when Amara returns, he lights up, his tiny face softening, his body launching toward her with newfound confidence. He clings to her arm, buries his head against her, and the tension drains away. The staff marvel. "He's thriving," one says, scribbling notes. "I can't believe the change in just a few days." Another shakes her head, smiling through tears. It's her. He chose her, and now he's healing. Word spreads quickly beyond the sanctuary. A staff member uploads a short clip of Kendi climbing into Amara's arms, refusing to let go. The video explodes across social media. Millions watch the tiny gorilla pressing against the zookeeper's chest. Millions hear his soft sigh of relief. Comments flood in from around the world, proof that animals never forget love. This bond is more powerful than words. My heart can't handle this. Journalists call. Documentaries ask for interviews. But when Amara is pressed about the viral moment, her response is simple, almost understated. "I didn't do anything special," she insists. "I just stayed with him when he needed someone most, that's all." Yet to everyone else, it isn't just anything. It's extraordinary. Weeks later, the sanctuary hosts a small community event showing visitors the progress Kendi has made. Children press against the observation glass, pointing in wonder as the young gorilla tumbles with toys. He pauses often, pressing his face to the barrier, eyes searching until they find Amara in the crowd. Only then does he relax, resuming his play. Dr. Samuel Grant addresses the visitors, his voice carrying the weight of the story. This little one lost everything, but because of trust, because of love, he's alive. And because of Amara, he's beginning to live again. The audience applauds, many wiping their eyes. Amara stands at the side, humbled, Kendi's feather-soft memory still gripping her heart. That night, when the nursery is quiet again, she sits near his sleeping mat. Kendi stirs, half waking, and reaches out a tiny hand. Without hesitation, she offers her fingers. He clasps them, sighs contentedly, and drifts back to sleep. Amara smiles in the dim light. "I'll always be here," she whispers. And though he cannot speak, the way he clings to her even in dreams is answer enough. The world may remember the viral video, the sanctuary may tell the story for years. But for Kendi and Amara, it's not about headlines or views. It's about a promise, a bond that began in fear, was tested by silence, and now shines with unbreakable trust. A bond that will last a lifetime. Some bonds don't need words. They don't need explanation. They only need trust. Kendi had lost everything, his family, his safety, his world. But when he chose Amara Lewis, he proved something remarkable, that love once given is never forgotten. A baby gorilla who ignored every hand found comfort in one, not because of training, not because of food, but because of a memory of kindness. If this story touched your heart, if you believe animals carry memories of love and compassion just as we do, please like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories of courage, healing, and connection. Tell us in the comments, do you believe animals never forget the people who love them? And what moment of this story struck you the most? Because sometimes the greatest proof of love is the way it's remembered.